Hello, everybody, and welcome back to On the Diamond and Into the Deep. This is episode 44 now. We are getting there. We're close to 45, one episode away from 45. That'd make us 6 episodes from 50. So we're rocking and rolling here. With school starting and a bunch of stuff going on, this might sort of become a bi-weekly type of thing, and I'm going to try and get stuff out every Monday-ish, at least to start the week off. Probably record Sundays, try and get stuff out Monday at 8 a.m. This will be dropping Tuesday at 8 a.m., so it'll be a little bit different, but I'm going to, in general, try to get it out Monday at 8 a.m. And we got a pretty big episode here. There's a lot going on in the Seattle sports world. Obviously, we'll talk Mariners. In terms of that, there are 3 or 4 subjects I'd like to touch on. Number one is kind of where they are at and how I feel like they should attack the rest of this year. The next is just talking about T-Mobile Park, the batter's eye, the fences, whatever you want to talk about there in terms of hitting. I'm just going to touch on sort of my opinion, the way I've been thinking about it, how it is sort of just diminishing any sort of hits, really in general. And then we're going to talk about Ryan Divish on the Marine Layer, talked about trading starters seems likely again. Obviously, they didn't do it last year, but it seems like they could try and do it again here. And then trading Randy Arozarena if they cut payroll. So we'll touch on that, which is just brutal. And then sort of this will fit into the first one, but we're just going to touch on the Angels series that just concluded. As brutal as it was losing 2 of 3 to the Angels, it's just that shouldn't happen. That can't really happen. So we're going to touch on it. We'll talk about it. We'll see kind of where they're at. And then we'll conclude with some Seahawks talk. That'll be a lot more exciting, I think, a lot more fun to talk about. We'll do a schedule prediction. We'll do week 1 prediction. And let's get into it, y'all. All right. So to begin, let's just talk about where the Mariners are currently at. Mariners are 69 and 68, so 1 game above 500. They are 6 games back in the division and 5.5 back in the wild card. But when you look at the wild card, that 5.5 looks huge right now. You are a half game back of the Tigers, who are 1 spot ahead of you, and they are a half game behind the Red Sox. So the Mariners are a full game behind the Red Sox, and the Red Sox are the first team out of the wild card, and they are 4.5 back. The Red Sox are. In terms of who the Mariners are chasing, you are chasing the Minnesota Twins and the Kansas City Royals. The Royals are 75 and 63. The Twins are 74 and 62. You are 5.5 games back on both of those teams. And at this point, that's where you're going to have to try and catch. And I don't know if that's possible, considering that the Tigers and the Red Sox are both also ahead of you. It just doesn't feel especially likely for this team to go find something and to go really make it happen. They had a nice little stretch, won a couple series in a row. They head to Anaheim, they win the first game, and you're feeling good. And then they come back and they lose 2 in a row, and it's just abysmal. And it's really sad, honestly. The fact that you cannot beat the Anaheim Angels. Like, that is the team in the division that you should beat just about every time. You should be winning 3 out of 4 in a series that is 4 games. You should be winning 2 out of 3, if not sweeping 3-game series. But losing series after series after series, that's something that shouldn't and can't happen when you are vying for a postseason spot. It's frustrating. It's incredibly frustrating. It doesn't seem like anything can sort of get in sync. You have a couple dudes get hot in the lineup, and then everyone else is colder than ice. You have some good starts. You have a great couple turns to the rotation, and then you have a couple dudes give up 3-4 runs, and they still do go like 6 innings. But with this bullpen and this lineup, you can't be giving up 3 or 4 runs. It's going to be sustainable. You're not going to be able to win those games. And then the bullpen. Don't even get me started on the bullpen. Other than Andres Munoz, this bullpen has been really frustrating, really, really annoying, and really just quite sad to watch. You think about bullpens in the past couple years, you had dudes like Matt Brash, Paul Sewald, They were really fun to watch. The energy they brought. And then the pitch is that they had. Watching Paul Sewald nail fastballs at the top of the zone was fun. Watching Matt Brash make Jose Ramirez fall over with his slider, that was fun. There were fun arms in the bullpen. And now you got Andres Munoz, who is more fun than either of those dudes, right? And obviously Brash is hurt. But you're missing some fire, some just quality dudes to pitch in the 7th and 8th innings to bridge that gap to Munoz. You're missing a second and a third dude. You're missing it badly. And it's costing you games. You're getting into these late inning situations, 7th, 8th innings, and you're down a run or you're up a couple runs. And then it's always tied, or you give up a couple runs while you're already down a run and it's now out of reach. It's 2, 3, 4 runs, the deficit. And when it's a 3-4 run deficit with this ball club, you're already done. And you can see it in the players, the way that they're playing, the way they're attacking. It's frustrating. It's frustrating for everybody involved. Nobody likes it. Nobody enjoys it. At least I hope not. It doesn't look like anybody does. It doesn't look like players enjoy losing. This team wants to win. These players want to win. That's why they work their gosh dang butts off every single day to try and get to a place where they can help this team, where this team is good enough to win the division. You've had your rotation healthy this entire year. The Astros, they had an off start to the year. You had the chance to put them out. You had the chance to put them 15 games back to retain a 10-game lead as you got to the All-Star break, as you got towards the trade deadline, to the point where the Astros maybe would have even thought of selling some stuff, selling Alex Bregman maybe for a couple months because he's a free agent at the end of this year. But no. You let them claw all the way back in 23 days from a 10-game deficit. 23 games, 10-game deficit. That's incredibly impressive. And now you have no fire left, no energy left, even with the change from Dan Wilson. And he brought something. He did. It was fun for a couple days. But losing the series to the Angels just feels killer. And you're going to head to Oakland now, a team that is playing their butts off. They have fire. They have energy. They're playing for Oakland. This is their last year in Oakland. They're playing for Oakland. The players are. The fans want to see them win. Mariners have their last series at the Coliseum starting tonight. But it's brutal. It's incredibly, incredibly brutal. And it sucks. There's no question about it. It really does suck. And you look at how the Mariners have been in the past. Let's go through the past 4 years, 21, 22, 23, 24. Let's just talk about one-run games. That's what I want to look at. 33 and 19 in one-run games in 2021. 33 and 19. Absolutely insane. Like, that's obviously not sustainable. But you were a 90-win team that year. Had you been a 90-win team this year, you're in the postseason. But you're not. In terms of extra innings, you're 14 and 7 in 2021. You're getting to extra innings and you're winning most of those games. Let's shift to 2022, the playoff year. The year they broke the drought. One-run games, 34 and 22. That's due to your bullpen, and that's due to some clutch hitting. Extra innings, 11 and 5. Again, bullpen, clutch hitting. 2023, it begins to fall off. You finish a game back of a postseason spot this year. One-run games, you're 25 and 26. You now have dipped below 500. Extra innings, you're 6 and 14. 6 and 14. No sorts of clutch hitting. Zero. Abysmal. Cannot happen. Again, I just want to repeat that. 6-14 in extra innings last year. What went wrong? I don't know. And now we get to this year. You are now a game over 500 in each of those areas. You're 23-22 in one-run games and 8-7 in extra inning games. Down this final stretch, you are going to need to win all of those extra innings games and need to win a majority of those one-run games. You have to find a way to get it done because you need to win every game from here on out. And the easiest way to do that when you have a really good rotation is to win games by a run or 2 runs and win the game late. You have to do it. You must do it. The question is, will they be able to? And as I look towards the rest of the season, I don't think they're going to be able to. And that brings me to my next point. Is it time for Cole Young to get a taste? Let's look at his year. He has played 114 games, 500 plate appearances. He has 9 home runs. He's not going to be a power hitter, but he has 52 RBIs, 62 runs, and he has 22 stolen bases. That is the most. He's one short there, actually. Nope. He's tied with what he had last year, which is the most of his career in a single season. He has a 12.4 walk percentage this year, 15.4 strikeout percentage. So the walk percentage is really high. It's where you want it to be. It's a little bit down compared to what it's been. The strikeout rate is down from what it was in high A last year by about 1%. He has a 314 batting average on balls in play. He's hitting 274, 374, 402 for a 776 OPS, WRC plus of 123, 23% above league average in Double A. He's been really good. And he's, at this point, looking like he could be your starting second baseman at the beginning of next year. So why would you not give him a little taste in September when you're kind of already out of it? Like, at the very least, he's going to be better than what you've been getting from dudes. And you could give him a shot. At the very least, he's going to be better than what Josh Rojas or Luis Urias could provide you at third base, other than the defense. He's probably could be better than what JP Crawford has been. And you could say the same thing about Leo Rivas right now. Why are you taking Leo Rivas? And I understand, I do, that JP Crawford is your guy, but he's been god-awful this year. He doesn't look fully healthy. Looks like he sort of rushed himself back. He doesn't have any sort of timing. Probably should have had a little bit more of a rehab. So is it time for Cole Young to sort of get a shot and see what he has right now before you get to next year? See what he struggles with so that he can work on that in the offseason. When I look at his stats this year, and I look at, there's a few things that I want to look at specifically, and that's where he's hitting the ball. He's hitting the ball to the opposite field a lot more than he did in high A. Now he's doing it a tiny bit less than he did in low A at the beginning of last year, but you can see a clear emphasis that he wanted to, after a little bit of a struggle in high A last year, he sort of, it seems like, wanted to put the ball to the opposite field. And that's probably partially due to the fact that he's getting more velo and more off-speed pitches away from him, and he's able to just sort of punch those into left field as a left-handed hitter. And that's singles. Like, that's the type of hitter you need him to be. That's the type of hitter that this big league club really is yearning for. And why would you not give him a taste right now so that he can sort of learn and see what it's like before you probably put him in there next year? I say it's time. I really do. I think it's time you give him a shot. Just see what he can do. Where is the harm in seeing if he can find some success? There isn't any. There's zero harm in that. So why not do it? I think that it's time for Cole Young to be up with the big league team. Now, moving on, I do want to talk about T-Mobile Park. And I want to talk about it specifically because I want to talk about park factor and stuff like that that StatCast has. And I want to talk about the batter's eye, first and foremost. And then I want to talk about its sort of suppression of hits. Now, in terms of the batter's eye, it is angled. There's no question about it. And you can see why that would suck. And you can see why that would actually create a depth perception that is inaccurate when there is sun on it. Now, even when there's not sun on it, there's dirt everywhere. Like dust just all over the batter's eye. Why can you not get that cleaned off? I don't know. Like, just clean it off so that it's actually black. Like, that's the entire point of the batter's eye, is it's supposed to be black. Why is it not black? Like, you repainted it to make it a deeper, darker color, yet you're letting it not really be that color because dust is coating it everywhere. Like, it's just poor. It's so poor. And it's so frustrating. It really, really is. And I sit there and I look at the batter's eye and I'm like, what are we doing? Why would you have it angled in the first place? Now, they've said they're going to try and fix it, and we heard Teoscar Hernandez say all the different things that it struggled with being able to see the ball, with the depth perception, feeling like he was never totally angled right with the pitcher. Like, that all makes sense. It does. And they say they're going to fix it, but how are you fixing it? Are you re-angling it? Are you putting trees? Like, what are you doing to fix it? Now, in terms of the fences, this is another thing I want to talk about, because everybody talks about it being the marine layer and it being a bandbox, and it is. It limits home runs, but it's actually only ranked 20th in terms of park factor, in terms of home run suppression. Like, there are 10 stadiums that suppress home runs more than T-Mobile Park. 10. Like, you should be able to hit home runs if you have the power. Now, the thing that I want to point out is the doubles and triples. It limits doubles like nothing else. And I think that's the biggest problem. You look and you watch games just like at the ballpark. Next time the Mariners are at home, I just want you to watch the game and look how many shots and hits get towards the gaps and just get caught. Like, I honestly feel like the fences are in a sort of happy medium right now where it's not quite suppressing home runs a ton, but it's like it's allowing some home runs, but because of the air, it's suppressing home runs enough that it's like not worth it suppressing everything else. Because the way that where they are right now, there's enough space for all the outfielders to cover that it's really hard to hit doubles, triples, even singles. Even singles. It suppresses singles the same as Dodger Stadium, and the only one that suppresses more singles is Yankee Stadium. Yankee Stadium, which is known as being a small ballpark, which is why it suppresses singles, because you can't just hit bloop shots. Outfielders catch them all. It's in this happy medium where it's suppressing singles, it's suppressing doubles, and then it's also suppressing home runs because of the marine layer. So what you have to do, I believe, is honestly you have to bring them either in more or you have to bring them out more. And honestly, I believe out more might be the best solution because you can build a team that's going to hit doubles and triples and even singles. If you can build a team that can do that, you can find success with this pitching staff. Like, you look at like how the Royals are. The Royals have one of the best ballparks to hit doubles. And what do? They hit doubles. Red Sox have one of the best ballparks to hit doubles. What did they do when you played them? They just hit double, 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 single, double, double, double. Like you get the idea. You need a ballpark where you're gonna be able to hit doubles. Because if you can't hit doubles, how are you gonna get hits? If you can't hit doubles, singles, or home runs or triples, where do these hits come from? And they don't come. Like, they don't. So that's actually the problem with these fences. It's not that it's too far out. It's not that it's too hard to hit home runs. It's too hard to hit anything. Again, singles. It suppresses second most in baseball. Doubles. It suppresses most in baseball. Triples. It suppresses fourth most in baseball. Home runs. It suppresses third most. Oh, no, that was walks. Home runs. It suppresses 10th most in baseballs. In terms of park factor, it is the lowest out of any true stadium, of any true ballpark, of any true MLB team, any home stadium for a team. It suppresses hits and home runs and anything and everything, and it is single-handedly the worst place to hit. And part of that's Marine Land. Part of that's because you have really good pitching and it makes it hard for other teams to hit. Part of that's because maybe your players aren't that good. But there is something about the ballpark, whether it's the batter's eye or the fences or a tandem of both, that makes it really hard for people to hit in the ballpark, and it needs to be changed. Now, moving on, let's talk about trading starter, trading Randy Arozarena. Now, Ryan Divish mentioned both of these as possible situations for this offseason, and the starter makes a lot of sense. Now, here's my problem with it. If you're not trading Luis Castillo to sort of cut some money, because you're probably going to have to cut money again, and that's where Randy Arozarena comes into this. But if you're not trading Castillo, how are you going to make a trade of one of your starting pitchers that really brings you the value that any of these dudes are worth? We saw it last offseason. We talked about it multiple times, what it would take to really trade one of Wu or Miller. But no team is willing to part with that because that's a, pardon my French, shit ton. It's a shit ton of capital to give up. It would have costed the Orioles, Kobe Mayo, Heston Kjerstad, probably both of them, at least one of them, and like an Anthony Santander, and look at where they would be at without those dudes. Santander has been a stud this year, completely underrated, and Kjerstad has been good when he's been there. Mayo's been okay when he's been there. He's in AAA right now. But like, you're not going to find the value that you really need to trade these dudes. So why is it worth trading them right now? And if you do trade them and you bring in a bat and the bat doesn't work, you're in a load of trouble. That is job gone immediately. And that is fans up in anger, including myself. Like, that's a risk that you probably are going to have to take, but it's a very risky one. And it shouldn't even be one you end up having to take, because you should have the money to just go sign a couple dudes, to go sign a good player, or to extend these pitchers so that you don't feel like you have to trade them. Now, in terms of trading Randy Arozarena, I don't even want to talk about it, because you trade Randy Arozarena right after you traded Brody Hopkins, Aiden Smith for him. What does that look like? Now, Divish said it would be because they have to cut payroll. But why is that where you're cutting payroll? I mean, it is so sad if you would have to trade Randy Arozarena right after you traded for him. And look at what he's been doing. Him, Julio, and Robles all in the outfield. Look how fun those dudes look like they're having. Why can we not have another year of that? I mean, it's just so frustrating. Like, there's no words, really, if it were to happen. There's no words that could describe the frustration, the anger that this fan base and the city would have. Just horrible. Now that's going to conclude our Mariners talk for the day. Maybe thank God, because this team sort of sucks to talk about, and you hate to say it, but it sort of sucks. Now let's talk about a little bit more fun. something that we can sort of get our hopes up about, and that's the Seahawks. Now, let's talk schedule. Week 1, Broncos. Bo Nix is coming to town. I think you win that game. I think you probably win that game pretty easily. So, you're 1-0 to start the year. Week 2, New England Patriots. You probably win that game too. You're 2-0. Week 3, this is where it starts to get interesting for a couple weeks. Week 3, you got the Dolphins. Now, are the Dolphins going to be that good? It's hard to say. It is hard to say. I think you're probably going to be able to win this game, considering you're at home. So I think you start 3-0. Now, is this some unreasonable optimism? Probably, yeah. Now you get to week 4, and I think you lose. Monday Night Football, playing the Lions in Detroit. I think you probably end up losing that game. So you're now 3-2. Week 5, you have the Giants. You're going to win that game. You're at home. I think you win that game. You are now 4-1. Week 6, you're going to lose. Thursday Night Football against the Niners. Yeah, you're losing even at home. So you're now, 4-2? 4-2. Week 7, the Atlanta Falcons. In Atlanta. You're winning this game. 5-2. Week 8, Buffalo Bills at home. You are now 5-3. The Rams, week 9. You are now 5-4. You have your bye week, week 10. You play the Niners in San Francisco, week 11. You're now 5-5. The Cardinals come to town, and you crush them. You're now 6-5 as you head into week 13. You are in New Jersey, New York for the Jetties. The Jet. We're going to jettison the Jets. And we are now 6-5. We're going to head down to Arizona. We're not going to fall on a cactus today. And we are now 7-5. We then head home for week 15. We've got Sunday Night Football against Jordan Love and his Packers. And we are now too many games into this, I'm going to be honest. I have no idea how many games we played. What were we at? What were we just at? 5-5, 6-5, 7-5, 8-5, 8-5. You're now 8-6. You then face the Minnesota Vikings, and you are 9-6. You then get the Bears for week 17. And I think you probably win this game, and you're 10-6. And then you close out the year, week 18, against the Rams, and you're losing that game, and you're going to finish 10-7. And I believe you probably get a postseason spot with that. And then you probably lose in the wild card round to whoever you play. But go Hawks, baby. 10-7. That's the on the diamond into the deep projection. 10-7. It's probably going to end up being 9-8, I'll be honest. They'll probably lose to a team that I said they're going to beat. But as of right now, 10-7. Making the postseason. Winning the Super Bowl. Geno Smith. Yeah, that's what I got for you guys. Go Mariners, go Hawks. Hopefully the Mariners can figure it out. We'll record probably after the Seahawks on Sunday next week. Hopefully they can squeak out a win week 1 against the Denver Broncos. But overall, kind of a brutal week, really. Like I said, ballpark is a problem. Probably needs to be fixed. Will it get fixed this offseason? We know the batter's eye they're going to somehow do something with. Fences probably are not going to get changed, obviously, and that's sort of just an ask that I'm making for myself, just to sort of say it. But thanks, y'all. If you haven't already, go follow the Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, YouTube at Diamond and Deep. As always, go Mariners, go Hawks. Peace, y'all.